Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP, but this video's going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. Because right now everybody's talking about the case where we are today, currently. But you got to know how we got there. I'm going to take you back to 2018 and show you the timeline of what took place back then compared to where we are now. So take a look. And I really want to get this right because this was something I wanted to show all of you for quite a while now. It takes 6 to 9 months to set up a bilateral banking relationship. To date, Ripple has hundreds of partnerships with financial institutions. Good luck to everyone else competing with a company this far ahead of this space. And you know, Ripple's much further ahead than anyone else. You know, they had a really big head start, even back in 2019. But take a listen to the way Brad talked back in 2018.
It'd be a hard sales pitch to walk into the Bank of Andy and say, rip out your ACH rail and use Ripple. He'd kind of be like, look, that's not a big problem. That's not a big friction point. But if I go in and say to him, hey, your cross-border transactions, you're like, oh, that's a high friction point. My customers are frustrated that there's no transparency in the transaction. There's a lot of reasons to adopt Ripple. What happened, which we didn't really expect in Japan, is because the Japanese local rail isn't particularly efficient, we had all these banks talking to us about cross-border. They're like, well, wait a minute, can't we use this domestically?
Right.
Yeah, you can use it domestically.
Within Japan.
Correct. And so we have, I think now, 63 banks that have signed up in Japan. It covers 40% of all accounts in Japan. They're in the process of going live within Japan.
What percentage of your business right now are these Japanese banks? Or at least the relationships in Japan?
Well, in terms of the number of banks, it's over 50% of it. I mean, we publicly announced we work with over 100 financial institutions around the world. I mean, I think said I think it's 63 in Japan. So, you know, it's a big percentage.
Wow.
Now, back then, it was a lot different than where we are today. As an XRP investor back then, you listened to this and you were so bullish. You were like, I can't wait for the next run to happen. I want to see XRP surpass its all-time high. And everybody back then was so excited about XRP. You got to remember, the SEC case didn't even happen yet. Then 2019 came. Why was Brad there? May 14, 2019, BIS meeting, SMB, BNS. Central banks were getting worried about stablecoins back then, so they needed a trusted public-private partnership. And you see Brad there. That's why the BIS is always talking highly of Ripple and XRP. Then 2020 came and things looked even better. Ripple's XRP granted with approval for money transfers from U.S. authorities. So Ripple's XRP has received permission from America's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This comes as the cryptocurrency token has been used as a medium for value transfer. At this time of filing this report, the XRP price was at 21 cents. The Bureau indicated this in a recent report. It said that it was researching new patterns in the U.S. money transfers market. Digital currencies were a part of that research. So back then, the U.S. was ready to, utilize RippleNet and XRP. We were on the verge of it. But then something big happened. But let me first show you the full list of Ripple customers from 2019 to 2020. Now take a look at the banks. Oh my God, this list goes on and on and on. And this was huge back then. Then you see remittance, money transfer firms, foreign exchange companies, payment software, miscellaneous. But the big question back then was, will Ripple replace Swift? And most people agreed on it. They said, listen, the technology is just so much better. It fixes this outdated Swift system. And I think it drew attention from JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon. He probably thought, look at this Ripple really getting ahead of the game. They're signing up all these banks all over the world. And they're going to make transfers across borders very cheap. You know, we got to put a stop to this. So then this happened. 2020, Onyx was created, and that was the game changer because this was supposed to be the alternative to XRP, the XRP killer. But, you know, Ripple still carried on, moved forward. XRP was still primed to run. So Hinman declared that Ethereum, cryptocurrency Ether, was not a security. After his declaration, Ether's value rose significantly. After departing the SEC in late 2020, Hinman rejoined Simpson Thacher as a partner. And he was getting paid from everyone back then. Plus, he was looking out for where he was going to go after he left the SEC. And we knew this was going on in the background. And that's why XRP got called a security, to slow down Ripple. On November 24, 2020, Ripple announced officially Bank of America working together. December 22, 2020, SEC files a lawsuit versus Ripple less than 1 month later. Now, think about it like this. Okay, so Ripple's out there all around the world signing up banks, but then they start signing up banks here in the US as well. That probably really got JP Morgan worried. Now they're cutting into the US market as well. That's most likely where the start of this case happened. On November 18, 2020, right before the lawsuit against Ripple was filed, William Hinman spoke at PLI Directors Institute on Corporate Governance. Now, this is what he had to say. The division has provided extensive guidance to help market participants analyze the application of the federal securities law to digital assets. This guidance includes factors to consider when assessing whether a digital asset is offered as an investment contract and is thus a security, and factors to consider when attempting to structure digital assets so they function more like a consumer item and less like a security. That gave him the authority to do it. But then in 2021, the SEC got worried because now the case is up and running, and the SEC was caught erasing documents relevant to the XRP lawsuit. And those documents were tied to William Hinman. And we still don't have those documents today. They should be released to the public. It shows all the corruption that was going on back then. I'm sure of it. So let's see what a former SEC commissioner, Robert Snappy Jackson, back in September of 2021, NYU Stern Crypto Conference. When I was on the SEC, we didn't develop a systematic rule defining what a crypto asset is. Take a listen.
When I was on the SEC, we didn't develop a systematic rule defining what a crypto asset is. We didn't approach it from the Administrative Procedure Act approach. And the reason is that approach takes time, requires general setting of an ex ante rule before the fact, and wasn't suitable for the market we were observing at that time, frankly. From my point of view, the SEC's approach to APA rulemaking is the right approach. It's thoughtful, it's careful, it benefits from the input of commenters all across the marketplace, investors and issuers alike. But at the end of the day, it was not suitable for the crypto market we faced, which I felt was changing on a more or less daily basis.
So you see how he said the crypto market was changing on a daily basis. They didn't even know how to create a framework for crypto, but yet Ripple was still tied up in this lawsuit and is still tied up in it today. Since its first crypto-related enforcement action in 2013 through 2022, the SEC has brought 127 cases, 82 litigation actions, 45 administrative proceedings against digital asset firms and people, and as far as I can tell, has experienced not a single loss. Now, they have a great track record. That's because most people fold, they pay the fine, and just move on with their life. But then they got to Ripple, and Ripple fought back, which I don't think the SEC ever thought would happen. But that's why this case has been taking so long. And at the same time, the SEC is doing the job they set out to do. Delay Ripple, keep them, hold them back so we could come up with an alternative. But there's never going to be an alternative to on-demand liquidity. That's where they're always going to lose. And as they're bringing this enforcement action, I thought I would share this with all of you. The SEC is charging Jesus Christ with a $1 million fine for failing to file forms. Well, not Jesus directly, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, how low can you possibly stoop to go and take charges against a church? But Gary has no bottom as far as I'm concerned. He's going to do whatever he can to shake down as many people as he possibly can as time goes on. Now let's talk about Operation Choke Point 2.0. Stifling the onshore crypto industry would allow foreign powers to capture market share in a new paradigm of global finance. And that's what's really going on. They're pushing crypto right out of this country through Operation Choke Point 2.0. And they also want to cut crypto off from the banks. They want to know what me and you hold as far as crypto so they could tax us on it. And they tie it to money laundering so they can bring all this enforcement action. That's how we got to where we are right now. But it started all the way back in 2018 with Ripple. And it started because Ripple was a huge threat to the banks. Never forget that. Again, the decision in the SEC versus Ripple case is the biggest verdict in global finance history. The pressure is on like no other for Judge Torres to make a verdict on this case. This should be a no-brainer, as XRP is clearly not a security. Best believe in XRP. You know, I still see people saying, I can't hold any longer. I got to sell my XRP. We are right there right now. You know, everything looks great for Ripple to win. Everything looks great as far as XRP moving throughout the rest of the world to begin with. It's going to rise in value. You just got to stay patient a little while longer because we are about to get there. But I hope I did a good job on this video. I wanted to show you the timeline because nobody ever talks about that. They always talk about, you know, what's going on right now. But to understand it, really understand it, you got to look at the narrative back in 2018. Before this case happened, people were in a totally different mindset. They bought XRP and they could not wait for the next run. They were so excited about their investment. The SEC came in and crushed it. And I believe a lot of people really left the XRP community, you know, sold at a loss and never looked back. But they are going to come back eventually. Think about it. Once this case wraps up, you're going to see FOMO like never before. You're going to see so many people rushing to get XRP as cheap as they possibly can. But they're not going to get it as cheap as we can right now. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you watching my videos. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.